guys, my name is Kaylee Young and I'm the 2018 Mayesh Design Star. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a bridal bouquet, and then we'll be talking a little bit about bridesmaids bouquets and making them all proportionate. Today we're going to be highlighting some really beautiful product from Holex, which I'm so excited to show you, so let's get started. The tools that you'll need to make a bouquet are tape, whichever kind you prefer, clippers or knife, and then if you want ribbon, I like kind of like flowing silk ribbon, but whatever kind of ribbon you like is fine, or no ribbon at all is great too. When you are starting to build a bouquet, the first thing that I do is pick greenery or any kind of structural piece that is going to make my base and make the shape of the arrangement. So right now I have some spirea. I'm going to strip the bottoms to make the stems a little longer. So I find that when you are building a bouquet, interlocking stems together is the best way to hold the shape. So instead of kind of working in a round rotation and piling things around on the outside, I like to start with my vase as my hand. So make a whole shape, and then I'm just going to start putting flowers in my hand as if it was a vase. So it's kind of what I'm going to start with, and then I'm going to start with pieces that I think will make a nice shape. And my goal is to make a round shape. I mean, not too round though, because when a bride holds a bouquet, I want her to be able to hold it close to her body. Sometimes it can feel stiff and awkward when a bride is holding a bouquet that is like really condensed and it's too big for her to push against herself. I want her to feel very natural holding the bouquet. I want her to be able to feel like she could brush it at her side, or she could hold it up next to her. It feels effortless. It feels easy, instead of she doesn't have to feel like she's walking down the aisle just like this. I like to make my bouquet beautiful all the way around. So I'm going to do kind of pieces that flow to either side and front and back. I want it to feel effortless, but I definitely don't want it to be flat on one side. So kind of going to turn it as I go so that I make sure that I'm making it proportionate all the way around. And that's kind of a last step I do too, is just double check, make sure everything's kind of proportionate on the front and the back. And I just like to put things where they might naturally fall. Now I'm going to use a little bit more foliage to add some color and some shape and get the stems to stick together. The next thing that I'm going to add is some lilac, which is from Holex, which is a grower that grows a lot of Lux blooms for Mayesh. Absolutely beautiful product. So I'm going to add some of this. And your stems are going to shift as you go. I just try to fix them as I go. And once you get more stems put in your hand, it will all start to interlock together and it will hold together better. So I kind of like to start with the thicker things and the base foliages to kind of fill it out and start to make it a little bit tighter, so that when I put other blooms in, they'll stay in at the depth that I put them in. And I find that gauging how big a bouquet is kind of starts with your first pieces. So generally my bouquets are on the smaller side to medium size. The first pieces that I put in here are kind of going to mark how big the size is. So if I am challenging myself to make something really oversized, I want my first pieces that I put in to be really long, and that will stretch me, make me remind myself that I need to be pulling things out and making them long because I want it oversized. These things I'm tucking in a little bit tighter because I've kind of gauged that this is the size that I want based on like how far these are sticking out. So it really just depends, but if you're going for a specific size, if a bride has she wants a really petite bouquet or she wants an oversized bouquet, just kind of guide yourself. Just the first stems that you put in, make sure they're the length that the whole size of the bouquet will be, if that makes sense. If you're gonna take a stem out of a bouquet, which I wouldn't recommend because sometimes it can just mess up the shape entirely and you'll have to start over. But if you are going to, like this one is poking out more than I had originally wanted, it's moved around, just twist back and forth, and that will help to ease it out of the spot that it's in, and then you can place it somewhere else. When you're making a bouquet, as you can see, I'm using my other hand to do a lot of this. The first time I made a bouquet, or first couple times, I actually just had someone else hold it for me, or I had someone else stripping my stems for me and handing them to me individually as I asked, because it's definitely hard to do it with just one hand. So get a buddy, because that's the way it works best, I think. So now that I have the base built, I'm going to add a focal flower, which in this case is going to be Cappucino rose. So I'm going to twist it in the middle of my bouquet, kind of facing forward. And there we go. And then I'm just going to start to layer other flowers on top of it. Yeah. So this one will be sunken in pretty far. And then I'm going to grab another one. And this one's going to be kind of sticking out a little bit more. And right now I'm ripping off the guard petals. They're kind of the not as pretty petals that are on the outside of the rose. These are protection for the roses when they're growing and when they're being shipped, but then after that's happened, it just looks prettier to kind of get rid of those. You get the full color that you like. So now that I have my focal flower and layering flower over, I'm just going to add some more of the same roses all the way around to create like even distribution and make it feel full. Okay, so now that I have more of a base built and I have it filled with roses, still kind of empty in the back, but I'm going to worry about that last. This is what we have for shape and for roses. If you'll notice, I put a lot of them at different depths. I think that really adds a lot of dimension to the bouquet. So I kind of stack, layer, make everything like a little more dimensional and interesting. Now I'm going to add some Fritillaria. So I'm going to add that Fritillaria in right over here, add some color and some movement. Then I'm going to add another one in. A lot of times when I'm going to add a flower in, I'll just kind of hold it up next to the spot where I think it should go, so I don't put it in and then not want it there, kind of get a visual beforehand. Now that I've added the Fritillaria, I'm going to add some Japanese ranunculus. I have a few different colors here, peaches, light pinks, corals. I love the variation of colors. That's something that I like to put in my design work. So I'm going to start with some ranunculus. Another thing that's really important to me in my design work is the color scheme. So when I put together a flower order, I make sure that all of my colors blend together really well. If you'll notice, the roses are kind of a mauve color, and I love that for a base because I think it does a great job of blending all the other colors together. So I have mauve, and then I have like a light pink, and then it can lead into this dark purple and peach, which are like our pop of color, along with this foliage. This is like a Kelly green color. So these are butterfly ranunculus. They're also a Mayesh Luxe Bloom, really beautiful, from Japan right now. The last pieces that I'm going to add in are my detail flowers. Anything that's really fragile or small, I like to add it in last so that it doesn't get crushed, but also so that it stands out in the arrangement. So here I have some sweet peas and I also have some Fritillaria. And I'm just going to cut the stems down and kind of tuck it in between the other blooms. So now that I've added my detail flowers, sweet pea and some Fritillaria, we're good to go. I also stepped out and looked at my bouquet in the mirror. This is something that I like to do. We don't have a mirror in the studio, but I find that sometimes things look totally different when I'm up close to them and then when I'm in a mirror. So I like to arrange it, look in a mirror, you know, kind of tweak things as I see them in the mirror with me holding the bouquet. And then I also like to take photos with my iPhone. All three of these things help me get a good vision. They're just three different ways to look at your bouquet and make sure that you love it. So I kind of tweaked some things and then added more detail flowers and we're good to go. So I'm first going to chop stems before we wrap it. I like to chop my stems really high up. I'm probably even going to do a little bit more than this because I think the beauty of the bridal bouquet is the flowers. And I don't want a bride to be holding so many stems that it takes away from the flowers. And I also like her to be able to hold it close to her body. And having shorter stems allows for that. It also allows for me to use little intricate, delicate flowers that might have shorter stems that will need a vase of water up close so I can get them in water. I have my tape here. I'm just holding all the flowers together. You can see they're kind of tightly woven now because of the weaving that we did. I'm gonna take my tape and tape around the bouquet. Oops. Tape around the bouquet. I do it like a bunch of times till it feels tight. And then I'm going to cut the stems one more time to the final length that I want them. And I'll even cut the stems one more time once I'm at the wedding, because when the bride puts the flowers back in water, hopefully the fresher cut will help them to absorb the water. Because, you know, she's going to be carrying it around all day. There's where our stems are at. And last step is ribbon. Okay, so now I have my ribbon and I'm going to double it up. Then I'm going to place it in the middle of the table and I'll place my bouquet over the ribbon. And I want to wrap the ribbon so that it covers the tape. So I'm going to do twice around. And then I'll tie a knot. And a double knot. And put it in the center of the bouquet, the knot. And now we have a nice flowing ribbon for the bouquet. Thanks guys so much for tuning in. Here's the finished bridal bouquet and hope to see you on tour.